Hey, fellow babies. Welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you're a SIFTD subscriber, you're getting this as real-time as possible. If you're not, you have to wait a few days till we post it on YouTube, typically during the week, the following week. Really a bargain to join SIFTD. It's inexpensive. It's only $30 a year, and that will enable the site to create more premium content like this. I know many of you out there think any idiot with a cell phone can do a YouTube video. I actually have a professional crew producing this, and that's why it looks so freaking handsome. In any case, fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor. Let's get into the questions. This week's first question comes from Vin Hill on the SIFTD site. There's a clue for you, viewers. If you want to ask questions, the site manager is going to favor people who pay him rather than people who don't. So if you submit on SIFTD, you'll probably have a better chance of getting your question answered. But Vin Hill from SIFTD asks, would it be financially smarter for Nintendo to go full mobile rather than put out the NX and then become a third party to Sony or Microsoft, or go the rumored handheld console hybrid route with its own machine? Which makes more sense? Third party, mobile, support existing consoles, or first party only? I think that it really depends on what people expect the software sales to be on the NX. So you're asking me to compare NX to a third party strategy. If the NX is as successful as the Wii U, then it makes more sense for Nintendo to go third party. If the NX is as successful as the Wii, then it doesn't make sense. I mean, Nintendo sold about half of all software ever put out there for the Wii. There were literally 100 million Wiis, probably a software attach rate of around 8. So Nintendo literally sold something like 400 million pieces of software for the Wii. That's a very profitable business. If they have that success with the NX, then of course they should do that. If they go third party, you're talking about an install base PlayStation 4, Xbox One right now of something like 54, 55 million consoles. And I think ultimately you'll probably get an install base of 200 million Xbox Ones and PS4s. Nintendo would need 20% share on those platforms to replicate the success it had with the Wii. So that's possible. It's not likely, but it's possible. I do think that once Nintendo decides one way or another, that will drive future purchase decisions from consumers. So if Nintendo says, we're going all third party all the time, a lot of Nintendo fanboys will buy an Xbox One or a PS4. And I actually think that Sony would do some interesting things with Nintendo, because I think, both being Japanese companies, there's just a lot of opportunity for those two to work together. So I actually think you would see some really cool things on the PS4, but we're speculating for speculation's sake. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm answering your question only because you asked it. My bias is Nintendo is going to stay in the console business until they fail completely, and I don't even think they consider the Wii U a failure. So failing completely means nobody buys a console at all. Since we don't know what the NX is, it's kind of hard to make a forecast on what the sales levels will be. My guess is it will sell more units than the Wii U, so better than the Wii U, and that's enough to keep Nintendo continuing to stay in the console business and staying as a first party. So I don't expect that to happen. Our next question comes from the SIFTD site, another shocker. Rewind, replay. Do you think Oculus will fail because of its $600 price tag? And if not, how long do you think it will take for it to catch on? I actually think the $600 price tag is a pleasant, positive surprise. Looking at that device and looking at the specs on that device, I thought it probably cost $800 or more to make. We've heard commentary from the Oculus guys that suggests that perhaps they're selling it at a loss, each unit at a loss. Obviously, with scale, they'll bring down the component costs. They'll probably be able to make a slight profit at $600, but they are not raping you, charging you $600 for $800 worth of stuff. So I really thought they'd charge $1,000, and I think both of those numbers are very big numbers. but there's kind of a visceral reaction to $1,000. That sounds like serious money. 600 somehow just doesn't quite sound as serious. You know, I think about 1,000 like what I paid for my first car, and 600 is, you know, what I guess what you pay for your cell phone. So, you know, you can kind of see where that price point being the same price as a Galaxy or an iPhone makes sense for consumers. I frankly think it will do well. I think what needs to happen is we need to kind of frame how many games are going to come out and how those games will work if they do on, say, an Xbox One. You know, because Oculus and Xbox One have announced that they'll be, you know, support one another. I presume that means that the game specs will work on a Xbox One CPU GPU combo. That's also surprising to me because, again, I just came back from Consumer Electronics Show, talking to PC makers. They all think kind of the table stakes to get into the Oculus business, the VR business, is north of $1,000, more like $1,500 just for the PC. Given that an Xbox One costs $350, it's highly unlikely that it has a competitive graphics card. And I don't know what it takes to run Oculus, but the 600 price point makes sense for anybody who's got a CPU, GPU that will power virtual reality. So I don't think that's an impediment at all. Oculus is announcing or has announced a $1,500 package. So if you don't have a fast enough PC, they'll sell you one. And again, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it looks like. We'll see when it gets to retail. But if that's what it takes, you know, the equivalent of a $900 PC, there probably are, you know, millions of those out there in the market right now. So I think Oculus pretty easily sells 1 million units its first year. Anything beyond that, that's kind of the rich boy toy, you know, sell through. Anything beyond rich boys with, you know, who want to buy all the toys is going to require content. And so the answer to your question is, I think it'll take a while to catch on, and the time that it takes is going to be perfectly correlated to content that's available. So if you get 10 amazing games, you know, if Portal comes out in virtual reality and it's you jumping through the holes and falling from the ceiling, that's pretty cool. And I think a lot of people want to play that. If Half-Life comes out in VR, people are buying it. You know, if it's Tetris in VR, I'm not so sure anybody actually cares. So we'll see. I would say 5 years before we get enough content that it makes sense. But that time frame will be accelerated if they sell 10 million in the first couple of years. You'll start getting studios developing for it because there's a big enough market that they can sell several million copies of a game. If it's 1 million or less after a year, studios are not going to be lined up to, you know, spend 20, 30, 50 million bucks making a game. So again, it's a chicken and egg thing. We have the, you know, if the content is built, the device purchasers will come. Our next question this week comes from the SIFTD site, X Actorus. The PS4 has now sold double Xbox One, and he's rounding. 36 million is rounding up from the 35.9 Sony announced, versus 18 million, which Microsoft kind of announced, but not really. So it's not really clear. I think that number is probably pretty close. If the trend continues, the Xbox One will struggle to reach 50 million units sold. I'm not sure I buy into that, but that's what this guy said, so let's go with it. Would this be considered a failure for Microsoft? Could it exit the video games business, since it seems Nadella isn't a huge fan of Xbox? Again, a premise, I think, without foundation. I don't think Nadella hates Xbox at all, so I think that was just a bad conclusion. Yes, Microsoft could exit the video game business, but they wouldn't at 50 million units sold. And, you know, selling 9 million a year is probably plenty for them. I thought by now they would be selling 15. And I think that probably the price point's still a little too high. I think the difference in graphic fidelity in games isn't great enough to get as many people to switch over as I expected before. And I think that Nintendo continue to slog it out with the Wii U and keep its content first party is pretty much hurting the entire console business. So look, I think Microsoft, if they want to sell 100 million consoles, cut the price to 250 and they'll sell a lot of consoles. So that's really the way to do it. I think that what you've been seeing is the $350 price point with a bundle, and it's still $350. And get under $300, it's easier to buy. We had the consumer kind of hiding this past holiday. In the U.S. in particular, gas prices are low, but wage growth has been bad. So it's kind of hard for middle-income households who are not making more money this year than they did last year to spend an extra $300, $350. But no, I think that Microsoft won't have a problem. They'll get to 50 million. I think once they cut price, I think you're going to start seeing 12 and 14 million sold a year. That's still not the 18 million that Sony's selling each year. So Sony's going to stay ahead. No way Microsoft's catching them, but they will be profitable at 50, 60 million units. And again, I think that number is probably going to get up much closer to 75 or 80, and Sony's going to probably be at 120 by the time they're done. We have a question from the SIFTD site from Deus Trinitas. In order for Nintendo to make a splash with its NX unveiling, does it need to return to doing a live E3 press conference instead of a pre-recorded direct video? Boy, is that a good question. Nintendo seems to have all but abandoned E3, and I'm not really sure why. It's not particularly expensive for them. I mean, they're there anyway, they have a booth anyway. So the incremental expense is literally just renting out, a concert hall like the Kodak Center that they used to do, and having a big press conference. And we're talking about, hundreds of thousands of dollars, not millions of dollars. So a company that does, several billion dollars in revenue to spend a couple $100,000 renting out a facility for 3 hours is probably worth it. I think that the marketing benefit at E3 vastly outweighs the cost of anything you do. You have mainstream press there. You have not the video game reporter. You have reporters from the New York Times and the Le Figaro in France and I forgot Bild in Germany. I mean, people show up from every country, and it's a real opportunity. So I think Nintendo Direct is intended for fanboys. They get a lot of hits, but we're talking, a million maybe, not hundreds of millions. And the cumulative reach of the E3, press corps is easily a couple 100 million people. So I think it's a much better use of funds to do a big splashy press conference at E3. I'm surprised Nintendo has kind of passed on the opportunity the last 2 years. And I think the last time they did it, I think, was when they announced the Wii U. So I think that when they announce their next console, they will go back to the E3 splashy showcase, and I think it's a smart thing to do. Our last question from the SIFTD site this week, from Senpai, asking me what are my New Year's gaming resolutions. Well, God, this is going to go on forever. I have not been playing a large number of games this year. I just had a crazy busy year. I finally gave in and I loaded Fallout, and so my New Year's resolution is I got to finish this freaking game. I had a really interesting Fallout problem, so please post on the SIFTD site if you can fix this, or on NeoGAF, what a moron I am. But I got to level 33. I don't know, I've been playing a few weeks. But like level 33, I'm on the main quest again. I got distracted by all the side quests. I'm looking for my kid. I build all my frickin' teleporter shit, and I get transported into the Institute. And I go in an elevator, I go down, I get another elevator, I go up, I see a kid in a room, no voice, nowhere to go, the elevators won't work, I'm stuck. I actually went online after literally wandering around for 45 minutes looking for a key to one of the doors, and it tells me that in the walkthrough guide, when I got off the elevator, I'm supposed to meet some dude, and he wasn't there. So I got a glitch in my game, and it pissed me off. Anyway, I ended up quick saving so often that the only quick saves I had left were all the ones when I was stuck. And the last save I had was 2 full weeks earlier, and it made me go back to level 25. So now I've started again, which is okay because I didn't even figure out like what the perk chart was until, probably about level 30. So I actually made some bad perk choices. So my next 8 will be brilliant. I'm actually okay with that. So my New Year's resolution is stay married, which means I got to finish Fallout soon. And I got to get through this institutionalized level. If any of you had that glitch and can help me get out of it, or if anybody who works at Bethesda is watching this and can help me figure that out, I even went in Sony and I updated, I patched the game, I did everything, and I'm stuck. So that pissed me off. Second thing is I lost my frickin' companion. So my dog is there. It says I've got frickin' Paladin Dance or whoever the hell I've got. I go find him, I dismiss him, and then if I ask my dog to join me, he disappears. So, and then I literally, up at level 33, I had some mutant named Snow, some woman who's a seamstress, the detective from frickin' whatever the hell, Diamond City. I probably had Piper. Probably have like 12 helpers to choose from. What do they call it? Sidekicks to choose from. So my New Year's resolution is to finish this game, and my New Year's resolution is to encourage you guys to help me get through this frickin' game, because when I do play them, I actually play them. And this one, I don't mind redoing level. I actually got to level 26 last night right after this happened. So I'm leveling up faster because I know what I need to do, and I'm a little quicker at it. But the other thing is I probably discovered like 30 different places that in the last 7 levels that I haven't yet discovered, but I know what's worth discovering and what's not, so that's fun. Other New Year's resolutions, I'm going to try to play no sequels all year. I just want to play new content. I mean, I thought GTA 5 was great, but I didn't think it was significantly greater or different than GTA 4 or than GTA San Andreas. It just feels like the same game to me over and over again. No diss on it. They're all great. That's like saying a James Bond movie feels like an old James Bond movie. They all do. But I want to try some new stuff this year. So I am looking forward to brand new. I'm probably not looking forward to Uncharted because I played the first 3. I'm probably not going to play Battlefield or Call of Duty or FIFA or any of that stuff. So looking for suggestions on games that you are certain I've never played that are like the best game ever. And I would say, in that kind of a category, Red Dead Redemption was one of the best games I've ever played. Fallout 3 was one of the best games I ever played. So give me some recommendations on games I may have missed that were gems. That'd be cool. Thank you. All right, fellow babies, thanks for joining me on this week's Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you're seeing this on YouTube, you're seeing it later than you could have for only $30 a year, $250 a month. But in any case, we love having your viewership. We love your questions. Please submit questions to me on Twitter at Michael Pachter or to at SIFTD Games, right? I guess sorry. Or to I started to say at SIFTD.net, to at SIFTD Games and hashtag Pachter Factor, and it will get into the queue one of these days, I promise. We do get a lot of duplicate questions, so we're not really discriminating against any of you, and we are going to favor the SIFTD site, but I did see several really, really good questions on my Twitter account, so keep them coming. If we don't answer them on the show, I'll get back to you either direct message or I'll just retweet back and get you the answer to your question. But keep them coming. They make me smarter, even though I know I sound stupid all the time. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.